Go.
My dad was a terrible tease. And as a child, he liked to tell me the stories of the pranks he would pull on his friends and his school teachers. I found out that he was a terrible tease because his dad and that dad had been a terrible tease too. When I went away to school, Utah State University, I also found that I had a circle of friends that were terrible teases as well. They liked to play jokes on their dates and their fiancés and people that they were mad at or people they liked a lot. It kind of rubbed off on me. And there was this guy that I really liked. He was just, wow, gorgeous and talented, and I really wanted him to think of me, to remember me, to think I was fun. And so when he asked me out to a themed dance, I thought maybe I could maybe play a little tease, play a little joke. The interesting thing about this particular date was that I would be sitting watching others dance and watching the program while he'd be up on the bandstand playing the bass. So I had my roommate write a note, and the note said, "Mr. Bass Player, I've been admiring your style. I'd like to meet you during the intermission. If the answer is yes, nod your head. If the answer is no, shake your head. And if the answer is yes, then I'll meet you out by the drinking fountain during intermission." So I brought that little note. Oh, and I had her sign the note, Stacy Clark. So I brought that little note along with me on my date, and as soon as my date went up to the bandstand to warm up with the orchestra, I moseyed along to the bar and asked someone I sort of kind of knew if he would do me a favor. I said, "You know the bass player? Could you please deliver this note to him? But please don't tell him who gave it to you, and please don't point out who wrote the note." So he said he would. One dance, two dance, three dance. It seemed to take a long time, and then I watched the bartender hand a note up to the bandstand. He looked at the note, and he didn't shake his head, but he didn't nod yes. He kind of looked around for Stacy Clark. So when the MC announced that there was going to be an intermission, I hurried and snuck out of the ballroom behind the crowd of dancers and people and took my place out by the drinking fountain. I could watch my date get down off the bandstand and kind of walk away out of my sight. And I waited what seemed like forever, and then I saw him. He was motioning me. He was standing inside the ballroom and motioning me to come back, come back. And I just kind of So he kind of looked around and kind of cautiously kind of walked up towards me, and I told him how much I was enjoying the band playing and how much I was enjoying being here and how nice I thought the orchestra was doing. Meanwhile, he scanned for Stacy Clark's. He pulled me took my hand and pulled me back towards the ballroom. And I was trying to make conversation, and he was looking around when the bartender approached us. He tried to avoid him, but the bartender, not to be persuaded, handed me a note. My date wasn't really very excited about that. He looked horrified and a little bit aghast, and then he looked at me. And then he kind of laughed. "You're Stacy Clark." I said, "I'm Stacy Clark tonight, and you're Dean Maserby." And then we laughed, and it was the beginning of a long friendship.
Yay.
Yay.